After 10 years of non-stop drama and a whole lot of allegations, I'm finally happy to announce that I do not have any more drama to talk about. And that brings us to today. For today's Smarter with Stevie, Dr. Blunder, or how I learned to stop worrying and love the mine. Today's stream will be about Mystic Mine. So let's get right into it. Do I think Mystic Mine should be banned? Yes. And that's it. That's the whole video. Thank you everybody for watching. Go to my twitch.tv/StevieBlunder, twitter.com StevieBlunder__, youtube.com/StevieBlunderReal. Great information. But let's get a little bit deeper. Pros for Mystic Mine. I think Mystic Mine's actually a fine card. Mystic Mine's healthy. I would argue. Mystic Mine did not need to be banned. I don't think Mystic Mine needed to be banned. I think everybody's crying a little bit too hard about it. 1. Statistically, the card is actually pretty bad. If you're scared of numbers, click a different stream. Statistically, and through win rates, based on data sourced from Hakuna Matata, it had a 3.4% play rate among the top 25% side cards, side decks on Dueling Book. It actually doesn't even have that good of a win rate, only 47.5%, which is really, really low. It's actually worse than cards like Valor and Ash Blossom, which people originally thought in this format were actually, not really that good. And it had a 17.2% play rate in YCS top cut lists. So again, huge shout outs to Hakuna Matata for sourcing this data. And overall, this card is extremely unsuccessful from a data standpoint. So why would we need to ban a card that's not even doing well? Second point, it's primarily a meta call. Are you telling me that my Saki Field spell is only good in weird formats? Anyways, let's look at the events where mine saw success. These were primarily in relatively undiscovered formats, or formats that people weren't entirely prepared for. When we look at Hartford, Despia Branded and Punk Shenanigans were the decks to beat. But unfortunately, Despia Branded didn't really end on any negates or spot removal. It was mainly just like Guardian Chimera. And Punk wasn't entirely discovered at this point in time. Punk was really, really good, but Punk Piles just hadn't been optimized for this event. And although it was probably the best deck in the format, people didn't discover it, and Mystic Mine won that event. So shoutouts to Pojiang. YCS Rio de Janeiro. This was the event where Mystic Mine won with Burn. It's a Latin America event. I'm not gonna lie. Latin American events are not as highly regarded as you may think, mainly because of their extremely lower player pool. Latin American events only have about 500 players. And yes, offense. Like, a Latin American event is basically the size of a fucking California regional. So even though it is pretty significant data, when you compare it to something like a German national, which is about like 2,000 fucking players, you can't really compare that. It's apples and oranges. Euros. This was the event where Power of the Elements was first legal, and it was basically an entirely new undiscovered format. Deck lists are still being experimented with by a vast majority of players. A lot of people were playing like Sprite with only one Smashers. A lot of people were not playing Danger Tier Limit. A lot of players just were generally unprepared to deal with Mystic Mine and did not really consider it. Additionally, factors at play, again, too small a sample of data. Latin American events aren't great data points because comparing a 500-man event to like a 2001, it's apples and oranges. There's a magnitude of difference. And second, unsolved formats. Formats at the time are pretty much unsolved, undergoing development, allow for a lot of cards and deck choices to slip through just by nature of it's an unsolved format. People don't know what's perfectly optimized or great yet. Again, look at the amount of like rogue tops that always manage to sneak in at the beginning of formats. Look at decks like Invoked, Altergeist, Shadal Piles, Mathmech. That deck is bad, don't at me. At the beginning of formats, it's very much a lot easier for people playing rogue stuff to just slip through the cracks. Third, people have already adapted to it. Play around the good cards? It's crazy. People already are deck building around this card. It's been a really long time since POT has come out. Deck building is much better. People are playing multiple Sprite Smashers. People are playing Curious Griffin Sends in order to find their outs, such as Eradicator Epidemic Virus, or even like Paleozoic Dinomyscus, just as like generally good cards. Other decks have native outs, even that are rogue, such as Bathbeck Induction. Side deck staples, such as Cosmic Cyclone, are extremely prominent within the format. Just like Runic. Yeah, Runic! Runic's also another great example. Just like Runic cards, just like shit on mine. Okay, but with all due respect, how are you not prepared for Mystic Mine at this point? Thank you, Jesse Cotton. Mystic Mine is not ruining our format. We live in a utopia, right? Society of Mystic Mine, we're not banned. Surely, right? Well, cons for Mystic Mine. This is why I think Mystic Mine should be banned. Mystic Mine, not exactly the healthiest card. Let's play devil's advocate. First off, It's a format killer. Oh boy, I sure love Ultrageist. So what do I consider a format killer? I consider a format killer decks or cards that only see play at the start of format. Again, think of stuff like Mech Knight, Invoked, Ultrageist, Sky Striker. And usually these decks are unplayable. Usually these decks are like absolutely unplayable. And more often than not, these decks are pretty unfun to actually play against. Ultrageist, Invoke Piles, Dinosaur. These decks always only see success at the beginning of formats, and then people figure out how to build a deck, and then they're just like, oh yeah, these decks are kind of bad. Mystic Mine is all of these things. It sees plays at the start of formats, is usually unplayable, but it's mainly miserable to play against. New formats should not be defined by unfun decks and cards. I do not believe that Mystic Mine should be people's first thoughts whenever they enter a new local, a new format, just like, okay, we're just gonna decide triple Mystic Mine, beat Cop. We're gonna play our field barriers. This is how we solve the meta. I'm gonna play triple Demise of the Land and Ultrageist and Metaverse to trigger my fucking multi-faker. Next point, it's a win condition, but not in the way you may think. People think that Mystic Mine's win condition is to deck your opponent out. That's only half true. Turns out that Mystic Mine's secret win condition is to win in time. 6 out of 8 players at Niagara actually played a time card, something like Gagaga Cowboy, something like Agave Dragon, Red Resonator, cards like that. Time cards have always seen a lot of play, but nothing to the degree that we're seeing now. We're basically almost just as a necessity, and not just as like a tech, people have to be running time cards. And that is entirely because this is a very, very grindy format that goes into time. And Mystic Mine really promotes a really unfun dynamic. Because if you're the winner and you're putting in Mystic Mines, your win condition isn't to win the game on the spot. So it's to drag that game out as long as humanly possible. Because if your opponent just like scoops, they lose because they lose the match. It's best 2 out of 3. And if you lose game 2, hopefully you've just drawn the match out long enough that you're just able to like combo, and you activate a time card and you win because you went first and you're just the better gamer. If you're the loser and you lost game 1 and you're under Mystic Mine, you're forced to play it out. You're forced to go into these extremely long grindy matches just because if you concede and just like scoop the game on the spot because you want to just go to the next game and save time, congratulations, you lost the match. And let's just say in game 3, you better hope that you don't get fucking burnt in time. It's just an unfortunate reality that exists within the format. And 6, it's all fun. Floodgates are just not fun to play against. Cards should, in my opinion, crazy take. Cards should be fun to play. I know this is like really insane, but hear me out, Konami. Cards should not hard limit what players can do. Cards should not force players to build or play specific ways to not immediately lose on the spot. You should not be forced to play like a Math Mech Induction. You should not be forced to play double, triple smashers or Eradicator. You should not purposely have to drag games out as like a secret win condition. Card games should be fun. Like, card design should be player first. There is no fun in Floodgates. The user of the Floodgates just is put in this really uncomfortable scenario where I have to purposely do nothing to win, aka sit on a Mystic Mine and wait for time, and the receiver is put into this uncomfortable flowchart scenario and really boring flowchart scenario of, if I draw my Cosmic Cyclone, I win the game. Otherwise, I lose the game. It's just, goddamn. So, here's a review for everyone in the back. Pros for it, statistically, it sucks. It's got a pretty low win rate. Another pro is that it's a meta call. It rewards players willing to play cards that don't have amazing track records and formats that can't be utilized well in. And pros, people are adaptable and they will always adapt to these sort of cards. It pushes deck building innovation to adapt to power cards within the format, which is really, really good. I think that people should be much more creative with their deck building. People should be a lot more thinking outside the box when it comes to this sort of stuff. And the cons. 1, it's a format killer. It takes over new/discovered formats due to just their ease of use, and it's just like really annoying to have to see like Ultrageist at like top tables. Like, you know, it's just not very interesting to see like a deck that's not very representative of the format as a whole exist. Second, time stall. At least to an already grindy format, which already consistently goes into time. And the last con, it's not fun. I just realized I forgot to change the text on this, but yeah, it's not fun. And that's it! Thank you for watching. Those were the pros and cons of Mystic Mine. If you want to check me out on Twitch or catch your segments live, twitch.tv/StevieBlunder, twitter.com/StevieBlunder__ for my hot takes, youtube.com/c/StevieBlunder. If you're watching it right now, please subscribe, and StevieBlunder.com if you want to hire me or check out my portfolio. That's gonna be it. See ya.